Welcome to a special edition of Gospel Truth with Andrew Wommack, a teaching ministry that focuses on God's unconditional love and grace. Today, Andrew's joined by David and Tim Barton as they discuss the next Great Awakening. And now, here's Andrew.
Welcome to our Tuesday's broadcast of the Gospel Truth. Today I've got a really special program. I've got some guests with me, but before I introduce them, let me just say for those of you that missed our program yesterday, that I shared something that I really consider to be a major deal that God spoke to me March the 5th, 2021, and He told me that we are already in the third Great Awakening in the United States. And I tell you, this is major. I mentioned all these things yesterday. If you've missed that, you can go get that program. But, I wouldn't have even used the terminology, I don't think, Great Awakening. I might have said something like a revival. It was not terminology that I'm used to using, but it's significant. There's a difference between a revival and a Great Awakening. And so I have had this confirmed in a number of people. One thing I did not say yesterday is that I sent out an email about this to some of my partners. And Dwayne Sheriff, who many of you know, I've had him on my program. He was writing a book, and in this book about counterculture, he was talking about there is coming a third Great Awakening. And the Lord just stopped him and said, that's wrong. And Dwayne just stopped like, God, isn't there going to be a third Great Awakening? And he said the Lord spoke to him very clearly, no, it's not coming, it's already here. And then the next morning, he got my email about it, so he told me about that. And I really believe this is significant. It's going to make a huge difference in everything I say and do. And one of the very first things I did was call Wall Builders, David and Tim Barton. They're my guests today because they are just experts in American history. And I wanted to bring them on to give us some understanding about what the first and second Great Awakening were like and how what we can expect, how to respond to this, get their opinion, whether or not they feel the same way. And so I know your answer, but let me start with you. This is David and Tim Barton of Wall Builders. They're from, is it Aledo, Texas?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I've been to their museum. If you haven't been there, you ought to go see it. You got the largest collection of original American documents outside of what? I guess.
Well, we're told it's the largest private collection of founding era materials outside of Washington, D.C., Smithsonian, and National Archives, et cetera.
So if you haven't heard them, by the time you get through with today's program, and I'm going to have them on multiple days, you will be wanting to get their materials. So you can go to wallbuilders.com, right?
Yes, sir.
And they got all of that there. But let me just first of all say, so how do you feel about what I think the Lord spoke to me about us being in a third Great Awakening?
About 20 years ago, and let me answer by first saying Great Awakenings historically run for decades. And if you take the first Great Awakening called that, it's 1730 to 1770. You take the second Great Awakening, it's about 1801 through maybe 1870 thereabout. So you're talking decades. So it's interesting the people in the Great Awakenings didn't know they were in Great Awakenings until historians wrote about it after the fact. Very few people saw that they were in a revival when it was going.
So they probably wouldn't have called it that themselves.
They did
That's
not.
Historians.
It's historians who said, hey, did you see what happened back there for those several? Let's call that an awakening. So it's interesting that a lot of times we don't recognize. However, 20 years ago, I was sitting in the office of the Majority Leader of the United States Congress in the House of Representatives. He had shortly before become a Christian. He was passionate about the Lord. And for about a year and a half, I didn't see him anywhere in Congress, but what his pastor was with him and just discipling him, mentoring him, and it was really good. And so we were sitting in his office one day, and he said, I think we're in a Great Awakening. That's 20 years ago.
Wow.
I said, really? He said, yeah, look at the stats. And he said, here's the growth of music across the country. And here's the growth of Christian music across the country, and it was just exponentially higher. He said, here's the growth, average number of websites coming up. Here's the growth of Christian websites coming up. And so he was showing me all these stats that he had put together that just exponentially were Christianity was skyrocketing at the time. And so he thought back then we were in a Great Awakening, and I didn't disagree with that, and I think we're in one now. I think statistically there's ways of proving that. But there's a lot of other things that go with the Great Awakening that's not always so pleasant either. And it makes me think of that proverb that, well, if there's no ox, the stall is clean.
Where there is no ox, the crib is clean.
The crib is clean.
But
There's
much
nothing to clean up
increase
after.
is by the strength of the ox.
That's right. If you got an ox in there, you're going to have a mess to clean up along the way. But that's where you get your productivity, is what that ox can do. And so with a revival often goes a lot of mess that has to be cleaned up. A lot of, we'll talk about as we go through this, but there's a lot of things that people don't want to hear as being part of a revival or Great Awakening. But it takes that to turn it around, and it's not an effortless change. It's a lot of change. So I think we're in a Great Awakening. I think we have been for a while. I think there's some good statistical indicators.
Well, it doesn't look like it if you're just watching the 10 Spies Network. I got that from David. When I went to the U.S. Capitol, and they have a tour where they bring in preachers and they give a tour of Statuary Hall and talk about all of the godly people, and they go through those pictures that are in the rotunda and discuss that. And they had speakers come in from the representatives and stuff. And I was so blessed. I thought, man, there's a lot more going on than I realized. And you spoke to me and said, you've been listening to the 10 Spies Network.
That's right.
And so I've co-opted that, and I use that a lot because that's
it wasn't
true.
mine. It's biblical, as you know. So
yeah, but that is true, that we aren't going to hear this reported in our news media because they have become liberal. And even the conservative news media only reports things from a conservative standpoint, but they're still talking about all the bad stuff. So they aren't going to talk about the good stuff.
And there's a lot of limitations based on the information people have as to what they disseminate, right? It's one of the challenges even now when we look at Christians and culture. If you've been educated at secular universities, you probably have a lot of secular thoughts in your head, even though you might love the Lord because you've been getting the same bad information that the rest of the world is getting. So even some of these conservative, so-called news outlets in some situations are repeating the same stream of information. But Andrew, even as you pointed out, that not only is the good not being identified, one of the things that can also give confirmation of the fact that arguably we are in a third Great Awakening right now is some of the negative that is happening. Because historically, in the midst of awakenings, there's a lot of conflict that happens throughout the awakenings. If you go back to the first Great Awakening, there were denominations that split because of different theological perspectives from First Great Awakening. Second Great Awakening, leading up to the Civil War, a lot of denominations split. Now,
you could say, in a sense, that the Second Great Awakening caused the Civil War.
Very much. You could make a very strong argument that the First Great Awakening is what prepared the American people, unified them, put them in a position for the American Revolution. The Second Great Awakening is what prepared the American people for the Civil War. And this is something, as we are looking at the conflict in culture, this is actually a pretty good reason, maybe affirmation, that when you're seeing division among the debates of theology that should be very clear and settled, that God said He made them male and female, right? Gender should not be a confusion or a debate in culture today. But the fact that you now have churches that are debating over human sexuality or gender, whatever the case is, these are things that should be very theologically clear. And right now, it's almost as if you look at some of these Great Awakenings, the first, second, third Great Awakening, it's almost as if there's a sifting of the wheat and chaff happening on some level, that you have a choice to choose what side you're going to be on. And a lot of times, even at the end of the First Great Awakening, there were a lot of people who were in opposition in the first couple of decades who finally swung around to the right side as revival was beginning to spread, and they were seeing the impact it had. One of the things that, as we identified, sometimes you can live in the midst of an awakening and not even know you're in the awakening. But pastors who were there talked about they would see the change of people. New England from 1740 to 1742 went from 25,000 active church members to 50,000 active church members. Wow. So the pastor said...
Now, again, that doesn't sound impressive, Dave, but you got to remember how small the population in America was.
Correct.
You doubled it. And so, that'd be like a mega city today doubling. It'd be massive.
And to that end, you look in California, which has crazy restrictions and shutdowns. And we have friends that are in California as pastors, and they're going through ridiculous fines imposed on just dumb levels.
Yeah, well, one of our friends has got a $2.5 million fine right now by the state because
counting.
And counting. It's going up every week because he refuses to shut down. State says shut down. He said, I'm not going to shut down. Wow. That's what was going on in the Great Awakening.
Well, and to the point of even the growth. If you look in California, we were just talking to one of our good friends who's a pastor out there, and they already had several thousand members in their church, but they're one of the churches that said, we're going to be open, we're going to minister to people, we're going to help people, He told us last weekend they had more than 25,000 adults, not kids, not youth, the adults in service. They've never seen numbers like this.
10 times as much.
Correct.
That's right.
And this is one of those things where it's becoming apparent that God is doing something in the midst of opposition, in the midst of friction, which the First and Second Great Awakening, it was defined by a lot of opposition, a lot of friction. So even as we look at the friction and opposition and frustration and division in the nation, that's not inconsistent with Great Awakening.
So let me go back and just amplify on something you said. The First Great Awakening led to the Revolution. The Second Great Awakening led to the Civil War.
Yeah.
So a Great Awakening doesn't always, it's not something that people would like, but it changes the course of the nation.
Because what it does is you've had bad thinking going along for a while. Great Awakening comes along, starts changing your thinking, and you start saying, that's bad, like slavery. The Second Great Awakening unquestionably led to the Civil War, and people say, well, it wasn't about slavery. Read the documents of the secession states. They said it's about slavery.
It wasn't only about slavery.
It was primarily about, and so it was about slavery. And so that's where denominations split, because in the Second Great Awakening, they're saying, look, God made everybody equal. Read Acts 17, read Revelation 7, and no, there's not equal, there's differences. And so denominations split over that biblical teaching that was growing, and the ministers, some very prominent ministers, Charles Finney and others, were very strong with that, and they finally come to the part and say, we're just not going to put up with slavery anymore, and that's going to stop, man. That creates a civil war.
Well,
they weren't trying for a war, but when you start changing, see, and this is what we're having right now. I think this is an interesting thing about an awakening, is you start with the thinking really goofed up in people. I mean, it's just really wrong. It's not biblical as genders. You know, so many things we're wrong on things that used to be so simple. Nobody questioned. And so as you start pushing back and saying, no, that's wrong, there are two genders, you get a lot thrown back at you. And so the conflict kind of starts over thinking and drawing a line and saying, no, there are rights and wrongs. And it's interesting, in the previous Great Awakenings, it was not the secular community that fought the thinking change. It was the Christian community.
Wow.
It was other ministers who, and as Tim mentioned, the split of denominations. You had the Methodist denomination, Presbyterian denomination, Baptist denomination split. The church turned on itself. And we do a lot of polling with national pollsters like George Barn and others. And with 384,000 churches and senior pastors in America, George, calling 500 today, has documented that about 72% of current pastors say they disagree with fundamental teachings of the Bible. I mean,
That's
simple
terrible.
teachings like Jesus lived a sinless life.
Like Warnock in Georgia, who is
Exactly.
using the Bible
Correct.
to justify abortion
That's
or
right.
homosexuality. That's just,
He's a minister, and he's in MLK's church.
I know, that's what
It's
amazes
just-
me.
So you've got, this is where the division first starts, is the church turns on itself, and you have those, if you will, less biblically thinking Christians turning on the more biblically thinking Christians, and it starts there. And so if you go back to George Whitefield, when he was preaching across America for all the time he was, in the early years, it was church pastors telling their parishioners, when Whitefield preaches, you go out there, you pelt him with rocks, you throw potatoes at him, throw cabbages at him, get up in he's preaching in the woods, open pulpit, get up in the trees over him, pee on him and defecate on him. This is pastors,
Really?
pastors telling their church people to do this to the Great Awakening preacher. So, you know, that's significant, but it is, again,
And
the
so
church.
if you could just imagine that somehow or another the news media was subject to those pastors and encouraging their people to do it, how would they have reported this First Great Awakening? They would have reported it similar to our media today, reporting on the conservative Christians.
You bet. And it's interesting too, even thinking about the ministry of Jesus. His greatest opposition was not from government officials necessarily, it actually was the Pharisees, right? And he points out that you care more about the traditions of men than the things of God. It's interesting, as you're seeing some of the opposition, the friction in America today, there's no way that you can argue from a biblical standpoint in favor of abortion, right? In favor of sexuality outside of male and female, inside of a marriage covenant union, things that are not confusing. It's not complicated. And one of the things that we try to point out when we do pastors' conferences is we tell them nobody in your congregation should ever be confused about an issue that's not confusing in the Bible. And if they are, you probably haven't been teaching it well or correctly. And this is where we're seeing way too many Christians who are confused by very simple biblical issues that the Bible covers in multiple areas. But you think about Jesus, this is what he dealt with.
Okay, so we've given kind of an introduction to this. I would like you to go back and put it into context. What happened in the First Great? Let's talk about the First Great Awakening. Who was it that led it? Was it multiple people?
Sure.
When was it? And stuff like that. Give us some kind of a historical context.
So one of the laws that is considered partly responsible for the lead up to the Great Awakening was the half covenant. Half covenant. Mm-hmm. And the idea was in the Puritan colonies in New England, America, in order to go to church, you had to have a profession of faith and you had to be baptized to be a member of a church. And they realized that we're not getting as many people professing Christianity. We're not getting as many people baptized, but we need more people in church. What can we do? And they said...
Now notice, they're being number conscious here.
Yeah.
We don't have enough in church. We don't have enough coming.
Well, praise God, we don't do that today.
No, we don't do that. That's not a consideration for churches today. No, back to Barna again. Of the 28% of pastors who say that they do agree with the Bible and its teachings, he asked those 28%, it's about 107,000 pastors, he said, how do you guys know if you have a successful church? And the top 5 answers, none of them came out of the Bible. They were all about being bigger. Bigger offerings, bigger numbers, bigger staff, bigger square footage, bigger programs. So even back then, notice it was all about, we don't have enough numbers.
So what they did with this half covenant was they said that instead of requiring people to have a profession of faith and be baptized to be a member of the church, let's just say that if you've ever been baptized, so if your parents baptized you when you were a child and you've never professed Christianity, you don't have a belief in Jesus, you can still come to church because that way we're more accepting, we're more welcoming, seeker-friendly kind of church.
And they probably said that if we can get them to come like that, they'll hear the gospel and probably get born again.
But see, this is the problem with seeker-friendly then and seeker-friendly now, is you get more people in, but you don't preach the gospel. You're preaching what caused people to leave your church in the first place because you're not preaching truth. And so I don't have trouble with seeker-friendly churches. Jesus was seeker-friendly. But when they got there, he was always telling them the truth. And so we see in John 6 that they left him because he's telling the truth.
And let's be clear, who was Jesus seeker-friendly to? Because God always was resisting the proud and giving grace to the humble.
That's right.
Right? If people were hungry, because even when he teaches the parable of the sower, and there's this huge multitude following him, and he says, okay, so this man went out and sowed some seed, and it fell in different places, and different things happened, and he who has ears to hear, let him hear, and he leaves. And the disciples are like, what was that? All these people came to, get something from you. And he says, well, to you it's been given the mysteries of the kingdom of God. To them, it's not been given. So that's seeing they don't see, hearing they don't hear, and they're like, we don't get it. He says, okay, guys, let's break it down, right? You are the good soil. People who were hungry, Jesus was so open to people who were hungry for truth, but he didn't waste his time on people that weren't interested in truth or rejected truth. And this is where even looking at the notion of in this early American halfway covenant of seeker-friendly churches, the idea was we need more people in. So the church began, this halfway covenant caused the growth of churches in some areas, but the growth was by people who weren't really Christians, maybe necessarily. What's crazy from there is you had people that grew up in these churches who never had a profession of Christianity, who then became pastors in churches. So you had pastors who were just teaching what they had been taught, but they didn't actually have a conversion, life-changing experience with Jesus. And so this was part of what built to the First Great Awakening, because you had guys like Gilbert Tennent, who was one of the early guys, 1720s. He and his church starts going, we need to change the way we do this. This doesn't make any sense at all. We need to know Jesus. You need to have that life-changing conversion experience. And it really was a thought of getting back to the gospel message in its whole, right? The totality of the gospel, how it applies to your life. Jesus said, teach them everything I've taught you, go make disciples. That's what they were trying to do. And so from there, the 1720s is really kind of when the pot is being stirred a little bit. The 1730s is when it starts bubbling over and you see it start to spread through different areas in America. And this is where guys like Jonathan Edwards, one of the probably most noted theologians from the First Great Awakening, this is really kind of when he enters the scene as just a young man at the time. And he goes back to take over, he goes back to work with his grandfather who's a pastor. His grandfather dies, so then he takes over the church. But it's interesting that for most of the guys we look at in the First Great Awakening, most of them were bringing a revival to their local community. There weren't very many guys who traveled the nation. That would be the exception of the George Whitefield. So as we think about the First Great Awakening as being a national revival, it was national, but it was national in the sense of a lot of these pastors were bringing revival to their communities, and there were just enough communities in the nation that were experiencing revival. Oh, that's a national revival. Yes, but there's no national media, there's no national news, there's no social media that everybody's on their phone and seeing the same thing together. It really was local things happening with the Jonathan Edwards, the Gilbert Tennants.
So let me interrupt and say this and make a comparison to today. It sounds like from what you're saying, this half-covenant people, the Great Awakening in a sense was because of the extreme error that they were getting into. And so it was a pushback from it.
Yes.
And that has direct relationship to us today, just like you were quoting Barna. How many churches don't preach the true gospel? So we are in a similar situation that is just ripe.
Let's be real clear about this. The culture is all messed up because the church is all messed up. If the church wasn't messed up, the culture wouldn't be messed up. And we see the culture and say, oh my gosh, politics and law and education is so goofed up. We need a revival. No, we need a revival because the church is so goofed up. Let the culture get goofed up.
Right.
We need the church fixed. And that's what they saw back then.
Well, give me that quote from Finney. You can quote it exactly about if America ever falls away, it lies at the feet of the church.
Now, we're getting into the Second Great Awakening there.
I know, but it still applies.
Fine. No, but Finney's the guy we're going to talk about for sure. This is book he did. This is in the middle of his revival. This is 1838 when he did this book. And he calls it Lectures on Revival. And Lectures on Revival, what Finney has done, he says, look, I've studied the Bible, I've studied history. There are things you can do to create a revival. There are things that God will respond to, and if we will undertake these things, He will give us revival. So this is really the science of revival. It's not just wait till the Spirit moves. You can do some things that will help the Spirit move. And so in this, he's going through and he talks about how to create revival. There's a bunch of lectures in here. And lecture 15 is called Hindrances to Revival. He says, now, if you won't do these things, you're not going to have revival. And in Hindrances to Revival, the one thing he starts here is hindrance number 4. He said the church must take right ground in regard to politics. And he goes on to say that he says, and that's a hindrance to revival. If you refuse to get involved in politics, if you're going to stay out of that, you can't affect the culture. And if you can't affect the culture, you can't have a revival. Because right now, if we had a revival going on in the church, education and media and everything else would squelch it. Look where we are trying to have 2 genders. We're getting that stepped on in schools and law and everything else.
I just had a woman come up to me today whose granddaughter was born this last week, and she was celebrating, but she says they asked the parents, do you want to put a gender on the birth certificate or leave it open so that she can choose on her own?
Well,
that's no longer a threat. That's actually happening.
We had a national news story this week where the major news network said, look, for 5,800 recorded years of history, the consensus is you've never been able to know gender at birth. Wait a minute. Every doctor in the world for 5,800 years.
That's weird.
All you got to do is anatomically look between the legs and you tell what the gender is. Don't tell me for 5,800 years we've never known what gender is.
That's right.
And so we are in such confusion today that if the church tries to speak out about that, but we haven't been involved in politics. So all those who have power right now would do everything they could to crush that. They'll crush it in the schools, they'll crush it everywhere.
Well, guys, we're just about out of time on today's program. We're going to have to continue this tomorrow. But let me just say quickly that one of the reasons that this has encouraged me so much is 1 Corinthians, I think it's 15:58, says, be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain. And I've been laboring in preaching the gospel, and on an individual basis, I'm seeing results. But as far as nationwide, I honestly haven't had any confidence that we are going to be able to turn this thing around. It looks that bad. But now I've got this word from the Lord that we are in that third great awakening.
Amen.
And it has encouraged me that what we're doing is making a difference and it is going to work. And man, I'm just glad that you guys are with me. And we are going to continue this on our program all the rest of this week. And we really have just kind of given a little overview today. I encourage you to please stick with us. Come back tomorrow. Also, you can go to our website and you can see the archived copies of this and get all of it. And I think that this will encourage you that our labor is not in vain. I believe we have a word from God that we're going to see this thing turned around, and it's encouraged me. I believe it'll encourage you. So listen to our announcer as he gives you some information about how you can receive these products.
Andrew's revelation about the Third Great Awakening is available in either a CD or DVD album made from our daily television broadcast. This series includes Andrew's interviews with David and Tim Barton as they discuss lessons from the First and Second Great Awakenings. You can get these valuable resources for a gift of any amount when you contact us.
This word that I received from the Lord about the Third Great Awakening has really impacted me. And having David and Tim Barton on my program to talk about this, it's just really blessed me. And I think it could bless you too. So I'd encourage you to get this. We have this on DVD and CD. And also we have a partnership. If you would like to join us and participate in this Third Great Awakening through Charis Bible College, please check it out, our Foundation Builders. That's a person who's just investing in our Charis Bible College and all of the infrastructure that we're doing. It's an ongoing partnership, and if you would like to be a part of that, listen to our announcer and he'll give you some information about how you can become a foundation builder.
If you'd like to help Andrew continue building the Charis Bible College campus and be a big part of this Third Great Awakening, then please pray about joining our Foundation Builders partnership today. You can become a foundation builder through our website at awmi.net or by calling our helpline at 719-635-1111. Our helpline is open Monday through Friday, 24 hours a day, and Saturday and Sunday from 7:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time.
Welcome to the AWM Minute, a quick look at how your partnership is providing free teachings that are equipping people all over the world to share the message of God's love and grace. People like 91-year-old Admiral Albert Kellen, who after a lifetime of accomplishments serving the United States Navy, heard a free cassette tape from Andrew on the power of the Holy Spirit that inspired him and his wife to start over 13 ministries.
You're never too old, because once you give the Holy Spirit permission to use you and to instruct you, things just fall into place. And it's a pleasure to be alive and to serve God.
Thank you, partners, for showing one 91-year-old Admiral from Texas that you are never too old to follow the leading of the Holy Spirit and fulfill His calling for your life. To watch Admiral Kellen's full story, visit awmi.net today.
I want to let you know that we have now started a Charis Daily live Bible study. We've been doing a Bible study every Tuesday night live for about 2 years, but now we have 5 days a week. We've varied the times so that we can accommodate anybody's schedule, and it's going to really be good. We're going to use our instructors from the school, and it'll be a blessing. So remember, we now have a Charis Daily live Bible study 5 days a week.